Live from New York, where business never sleeps, this is Squawk Box.
Crude volatility this morning. Oil prices now well off the highs of the session. Up next, we'll be talking to Tom Petrie. His company has advised Saudi Arabia's government on oil and gas issues. WTI down by about 12 cents, 32.18. Squawk Box will be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Crude trading near two-week highs. It's up more than 15% from its multi-year closing low that it hit last week. Joining us with more on all of this now is Tom Petrie. He is the chairman of Petrie Partners. He's advised the Saudi government on oil and gas issues. And Tom, thanks for being here today. It's great to see you.
Good to see you, Becky.
First of all, let's talk about one of the stories that was really boosting oil prices yesterday, and that's the idea that Saudi Arabia and Russia were indicating that they might get together and talk a little bit more about output, maybe start to cooperate a little more. You think that that is a viable partnership?
Well, they do have a common interest in somewhat better prices. Both of them are more in need of an improving price picture than I think has generally been recognized. When you load in their social and security costs, it's quite clear that somewhere around $30 a barrel begins to really pinch them, and that's why I think we are seeing early signs of a bottoming process. We've gone into the shoulder months, so it may take a little while longer, but this is the year for the inflection point.
So is Saudi Arabia giving up on its idea of crushing the oil producers in the United States and making sure they maintain market share, or do they think they've already accomplished that goal?
I think it's the latter, Becky. They've accomplished a lot. We've had a full year of reallocation of capital away from developing new sources, and we're in our second year now. We're going into it. In all likelihood, with those two back-to-back years, they will have accomplished much of what their goal was with respect to that. And they've also sent signals to both Iran and Russia that this is not a great path for any of them on a long-term basis.
The problem is going to be if Russia, potentially Iran, and if Saudi Arabia all get together and do this, they're going to have to live with more short-term pain by cutting off the numbers that because Saudi Arabia is still making money at $30 a barrel. It may be painful, may not be what they need, but the only way to solve that is to take in even less money in the immediate future. And you think that's something that they could live with?
I do. The leverage on a little bit of change here is quite large. The partner they have is the embedded decline that's already been triggered. And so if they don't have to cut back much, it's a matter of taking the foot off the pedal just a little. Mm-hmm. In Russia's case, they've gone up to 11 million barrels a day of liquid petroleum output.
Right.
And at 10.5, that makes a big difference on the margin. Same for Saudi.
Tom, very quickly, Saudi Aramco, the idea of an IPO, I read something last week that they'd be selling not the reserves themselves, but just access to the reserves or something along those lines. But it's kind of confusing. I always think of an oil company IPO that you are buying the reserves. What's the value if you're not getting that?
Well, that's a good point. And we have to remember that these reserves, these fields were owned in Aramco back in the 70s, and with a nationalization, it came to Saudi. So the notion of ownership in sovereign countries internationally is always a bit ephemeral. How broad the interest will be in this is very debatable.
Right.
There are some countries where it may be, but time will tell.
Tom, thank you so much for joining us.
Good to see you.
You too.